the road to the Final Four, we join you from Orlando, Florida. It's first round action from the West region. The number 11 seed Xavier taking on the Maryland Terrapins, the number 6 seed. The winner will move on to the second round to meet the survivor of Florida State and Florida Gulf Coast. That's coming up here in Orlando. Hi, everybody. Ian Eagle along with former head coach at UCLA and St. John's, Steve Lavin. Evan Washburn joins us on the sidelines as well. We've seen so many stars over the years in this tournament, and these two teams, Steve, have dynamic players that lead the way on both sides.
Yeah, perimeter punch, so important in the NCAA tournament, and this matchup, no exception. Melo Trimble with the nimble feet, the ability to orchestrate, to play make, and shot make. Late clock, late game situations, expect Mr. Trimble to take control.
That Trayvon Blewett, what a season he's put together for Chris Mack's squad.
And playing the best basketball of his career of late, was outstanding in Madison Square Garden in the Big East tournament, in particular in the second half of games where he elevated his play.
Let's check out the starting lineups. First for Xavier, Gooden, Blewett, Macura, Bernard, and Jones getting the nod for the Musketeers. Maryland, young team. Cowan, a freshman. There's Trimble. Herder, a freshman. Jackson, a freshman. And DeMonte Dobb, the senior, is in the middle. Chris Mack, 8th year as the head coach at Xavier. 7 appearances in the NCAA tournament. They have had a knack for finding their way into the Sweet 16. And Mark Turgeon now in his 6th year as the head coach of the Terps. 19th year overall. Maryland has been to the tournament 3 straight years, a Sweet 16 appearance last year, losing to Kansas. Melo Trimble, the junior. He's brought so much stability to the Maryland program. And Trayvon Blewett, big-time scorer, fills up a stat sheet. Over 18 points per game, just under 6 rebounds per game. Doug Shows, Jerry Pollard, A.J. Desai, our officiating crew. We're underway in Orlando. This is the West region. Maryland and Xavier try to advance to the second round. Xavier controls the tip.
We talked about Blewett, but Macura as well.
Deflection. Herder comes away with a steal. Loop it ahead. The drive by Cowan. Rejected. Malcolm Bernard. Big time block.
Well, good conversion defensively. Macura walls up, which allows Bernard to leap into the air to block that shot into row 1, seat 6.
Really?
Yes. You don't know the layout of this arena?
You do, apparently.
Many times.
Maryland.
Magic here, some great concerts as well.
Maryland started the season at 20-2. Losses to Pittsburgh and Nebraska. They finished out the season 24-8, 12-6 in the Big Ten. Shot clock winding down. Another rejection. This time it's Tyreek Jones for the Musketeers. Cowan didn't have a chance. Inside, Jones. Dodd gets a piece. Blewett tracks it down, lines it up. Off the side of the rim, and it's rebounded by the smallest man on the floor, Anthony Cowan.
Blewett didn't get squared up that time or get a good release or follow through. A bit off balance, awkward.
Roles have changed a bit with Cowan in his freshman year. Trimble playing more off the ball. Cowan has been the main ball handler, but obviously they can mix and match at those 2 spots. Floater doesn't go for Jackson. Talented freshman from East York, Ontario, is off the mark. Macura can heat up in a hurry.
Yeah, shooting the ball well of late from the 3-point line.
Bernard takes it to the rim, misses it on the inside, and it's cleared by Jackson.
That's what Bernard could have gathered. Slam on the brakes, go up strong, play over the top.
Cowan gets a call from the sideline, and Mark Turgeon. And we're still looking for our first points. Nearly 2 minutes elapsed in this first half. Trimble averaging 17 points per game. Lines it up. Off the back of the iron. And it's rebounded by Gooden.
Both these teams in a bit of a hurry, and that's normal with adrenaline going, your first tournament game.
Push shot by the freshman Quentin Gooden. Xavier lost their on-floor leader, Edmund Sumner, to a torn ACL on January the 29th. They were 15-5 with him in the starting lineup. And when he went out, this team had a tough time finding itself. And Gooden has settled down a bit in the role. Strip away, And a steal. Jackson lost it. And Gooden comes to the ball to bring it across.
See if the Musketeers get into a set. And going back to that point about Sumner, the Musketeers lost 7 of 10. And now playing a bit more confident. They're starting to adjust to this new lineup, recalibrated, so to speak. Each practice and game opportunity with Chris Mack and this bunch, you can see the comfort level improve.
Rebounding numbers are off the charts. A plus 6.6 in rebounding differential. That's top 20 in the country. They're one of 7 Big East schools in the field. 2-0 lead for Xavier. Maryland still looking to get on the board. Shot clock is down to 7 for the Musketeers. Same shot, different result for Gooden. Gooden comes away with the offensive rebound. Blew it a jumper, short on the rainbow delivery. Follows it with a drive. Oh, there was contact, no call as Dodd devoured Blewett going to the hole.
Yeah, the official must have been blocked there. He was on the baseline, and his view to that play affected his ability to not make the call.
Well, Chris Mack just had something to say to A.J. Desai after the no call. Maryland is 0 of 4 from the field. Herter, drive and kick. Trimble, jab with 5 to shoot. Trimble, that's a deep one. Bottom. And a 3-2 lead for Maryland.
Now, there's those interchangeable parts, both Cowan and Trimble, comfortable playmaking and shot making. They take turns moving off the ball as well as playing with the ball.
Double-digit scoring in 30 of 32 games this season for the consistent Melo Trimble. Nakira thought about it. Malcolm Bernard lines up that lefty J. Too strong. And it's rebounded by Anthony Cowan. Cowan, the jumper straight away. Dodd got his hands on it. Controlled, though, by Gooden, who's a bigger point guard at 6'4", 194 for Xavier.
Neither team getting into their sets. No offensive flow or rhythm yet. You want to get some post touches, kick the ball back out. Give yourself a chance to get fouled. This is the first possession where Xavier being a little more deliberate.
The drive doesn't go for Bernard, but a foul called. Free throws for the graduate transfer, Malcolm Bernard. When we come back, it's early in Orlando. Time right now for the Powerade sideline report. Here's Evan Washburn.
Well, and as we all know, Winter Storm Stella wreaked havoc with travel. It forced Maryland to come down on Monday as opposed to their normal travel day Tuesday, which left for some extra time. So after practice, DeMonte Dodd led an excursion to a nearby golf course. Now, the idea was to play 18, but as you can see, these guys need to work on their game. So he hit the range. Jalen Brantley getting involved. We hope those clubs were rentals. I've got Peter Costas on line 1 to work on their swings, guys.
Yeah, we have a slow-mo breakdown of every one of those swings. Jalen Brantley lost the head of the club there.
I like the bucket hat, almost a Caddyshack or a fisherman's hat, Bill Murray style.
It's funny you would mention Bill Murray. We've got a connection here with Xavier. Son Luke, assistant coach for the Xavier Musketeers, and Bill has been traveling all over the place following Xavier. There he is. Well, Cinderella story.
Bill's part of the Musketeers posse.
He is. I think he leads it.
He does.
Bernard ties this game at 3 apiece. Malcolm Bernard, transferred from Florida A&M. He's become a vital part of this Xavier roster. Trimble circles, whips a pass. Oh, big finish! Justin Jackson nearly ripped down the rim, and the foul.
And Trimble takes his time maneuvering and even coming to a jump stop and then probing and looking. Little shot fake, pass fake action, and a precise delivery. Up and away. Two-hand jam by Jackson with authority. Absorbs the hit. Strong enough to finish.
Foul called on Sean O'Mara, who had just checked in. Jackson converts the three-point play, an inside-outside threat with a 7'3" wingspan.
An excellent poise there by Trimble. So often the player will go in a hurry, jump in the air to make that pass or shot. Low percentage play. Come to a stop. Slam on the brakes.
Blewett misses from three-point territory. And the rebound to DeMonte Dodd for Maryland. 6-3 lead for the Terps. Cowan trying to force it into Dodd, and Blewett steps in front for the steal. Gooden gets it ahead. Makura extra feed. And Bernard is fouled on his way to the rim, working that baseline. First foul on Cowan. The boys are back. TNT's hit series, Animal Kingdom, returns for a highly anticipated second season. Don't miss the premiere, May 30th, 9 p.m. only on TNT. Jalen Brantley in for Maryland. Cowan will take a seat. There's Blewett trying to get involved here for Xavier. Bernard swings it inside. Ball fake. And it goes down for Sean O'Mara. Hard-nosed, 6'10", 244-pound native of Glen Ellen, Illinois.
O'Mara playing with more confidence, getting more minutes as the season progressed, and taking advantage.
Herder knocked away from Dodd. It's out of bounds. Quick hands from Macura.
Yeah, Macura with the length, good instincts, both offensively and defensively, an intelligent player, tremendous competitor.
Trimble off the rim. Herder, big rebound, and the stick back. Kevin Herder has matured over the course of his freshman season. Great feel for the game. 8-5 Maryland. Macura to Blewett. Bounce it inside. O'Mara's become an option in the paint. Sean O'Mara. Chance at a three-point play.
Well, at the other end, Herder going to clean up the boards. A little putback. And then down low, O'Mara comfortable with the old school jump hook.
Well, he mentioned Edmund Sumner. Also, Miles Davis played only 3 games and left the program. He was such a big part of what Chris Mack did on offense. They lost talented players in James Farr and Jalen Reynolds as well, who graduated. So Chris Mack's done a masterful job of getting this team back into the NCAA tournament and always competitive.
Yeah, it's been a disjointed season because of the Miles Davis distraction. Suspended, returned, then quit the team, and then, of course, the injury to Sumner. And so the fact Xavier's in the NCAA tournament, to me, is high marks for Coach Mack.
O'Mara was held on a pick and roll. It was Melo Trimble who was in the area for Maryland. And it is Trimble picking it up. That's his first.
Some big bodies on the floor here. It's like lumberjacks. O'Mara, one of those wide bodies. Plays to his strengths, understands his role, which is to catch the ball, keep it high, and finish at the rim. Play defense, be a plugger.
Oh, quick hitter! Macura with the finish.
And Xavier, excellent on their out-of-bounds baseline execution. For years, they've been strong in that area under Chris Mack.
Trimble defended by Bernard out front. 2-point lead for Xavier. Macura had 22 points to lead Xavier in the loss to Creighton Big East tournament. It will remain with Maryland. Xavier started 1 of 8 from the field. The Musketeers have made their last 3 shots. And now Maryland is down by 2 at the 13-16 mark of the first. Trimble handles it. Open look. Brantley off the rim, no good. O'Mara there for the board. Push ahead by Gooden. Brantley sticks with it. Gooden motors around, spins it in, and a foul. Quentin Gooden. That's a sneaky play by the freshman.
Well, a nice push down Main Street, the center of the floor, going at a pace with vision and able to get an angle just enough. Comes back to the right hand and finish off the window. Nice carom there as well. The soft touch because of the fingertips.
He was a major high school recruit out of Taylor High School, Campbellsville, Kentucky. Scored nearly 3,000 points in his high school career. The question is, was he a point guard? Was he a 2-guard? He might be a bit of a combination, Steve.
A basketball player, and one of the silver linings when you have injuries or suspensions is it gives the opportunity for other players in the team to step up, get reps, build their confidence. Hence, the Musketeers competitive.
8-0 run for Xavier. Dion Wiley is in for Maryland. Brantley penetrating. Wiley the jumper. Long rebound slapped out of there. Yvonne Bender. Big man at 6'9", 230 keeps this possession alive for the Terps.
Bender and O'Mara both wide bodies. Throws it away. Wrong team.
LG Gill also in for Maryland. And Kaiser Gates is in for Xavier. 13-8 lead for the Musketeers. 12 to shoot. Gates defended by Gill. Nakura moving without the ball. 7 to shoot. Gooden handles it. High screen, O'Mara. Gooden whips it. Blewett fires. Way off. Rebound. Shot clock had expired. Sean O'Mara cleans it up. Mark Turgeon did not feel that it hit the rim. And Xavier may have just caught a break.
It didn't appear to hit the rim. Maybe wide to the left by a full 2 feet.
Also the way it carried. It just died. Jumper for Gill, no. Slapped up in the air. Wiley trying to save. And it's out of bounds. Nakura could not save it for Xavier. 15-8. Musketeers in front. Blewett. No, it missed. O'Mara gets the loose change. Watching the big dance calls for big refreshment. So grab a delicious ice-cold Coca-Cola and enjoy the game. Coca-Cola. Taste the feeling. That play is not reviewable. So while we saw it on the replay, while Mark Turgeon saw it live, it doesn't matter. The basket will count for Sean O'Mara. Xavier trying to get Trayvon Blue going. He has been held scoreless. Melo Trimble's got 3 for Maryland in our star comparison.
And Blewett's been a bit in a rush. Hasn't gotten his feet set on some of those shots. And at the Big East tournament, he was catching the ball at the elbows in terms of their offensive entries and very effective at the mid-range jumper and putting it on the rim. Also, when he's deployed there, he gets more rebounds as well.
And a zone look right now from Xavier. Just about 9 minutes gone by in this first half. And Maryland is stuck in quicksand at 8 points. Ball denial and a steal. Gooden on the move. Gooden loses it. The follow goes down. Little corkscrew inside Rashid Gaston.
Now the turnovers lead to runouts. Gets the Musketeers easy buckets in transition. This zone has been very effective over the years for the Musketeers.
It's a 12-0 run for Xavier. Kick out. Brenton lines it up, and he hits a 3. Maryland needed it in the worst way.
Yeah, good execution around the horn. Ball reversal, hot potato. That's one of many aspects. The best way to attack a zone.
Gaston working around the perimeter. Penetration and a kick.
There's that inside, then outside, and around the horn. Quick ball movement and good pass right into Brantley's shooting pocket where he can catch it and take it right up. So often the pass will be down at the ankles or too high. The offensive player has to step to get it, and by then the defense is closed out. Daylight no longer in play.
Melo Trimble playing in his 6th career NCAA tournament game, averaging just under 18 points per game in the tournament. A steal for Trimble, going right down the middle. Feeds Herder. Misses on the inside, but he's going to the free throw line for Maryland.
Alert and aggressive. Trimble understanding what's at stake, and a good push down Main Street. Gets Blewett to commit, gives it up, not able to finish, but steps to the line for 2 free throws. Herder.
We mentioned the Xavier losses personnel-wise. Same for Maryland. Michael Tchaikovsky fractured his ankle on February 19th. Not huge numbers, but a presence defensively, a big player in the rotation, and they have missed his size and length.
Well, you mentioned the struggle of 7 of 10 losses for Xavier, but Maryland 4 of 6 losses, and part of it, the injuries and defense is what's concerned Coach Turgeon. But tonight they're challenged some offensively as well.
Let's send it over to Evan Washburn. Evan?
Well, guys, just a quick add on Melo Trimble. In these moments, this is where Mark Turgeon doesn't want this team to stand around and wait for Melo to make a play. They want him to be impactful, but it has to be a team effort.
Off the turnover, Herder hangs, doesn't get the roll, but he is going to the free throw line. Kevin Herder Tough in the open floor. Played a lot of point guard in high school, so he's comfortable handling it if necessary. Foul called on Gates, and Herder to the free throw line where he shoots it at 64%. New York State Mr. Basketball as a senior from Clifton Park, New York. Watch live games on your computer, phone, tablet, or streaming device with NCAA March Madness Live. Watch now at ncaa.com/March Madness or download the app today. 7-0 run for Maryland. Strong answer from the Terps.
We've seen that over the course of these games today here in Orlando. Shifts in momentum, runs. In a high-volume possession game, there'll be 5 runs. In a low-volume possession game, 3 runs. And whoever wins the majority of those runs is most likely going to win the game. And the rest of the time, it's usually trading baskets.
Foul called. Gaston is going to the free throw line. Bender picks up his second. So he's making the most of his playing time, throwing the body around. Yvonne Bender, brother of Dragan Bender, member of the Phoenix Suns. Gaston, transferred from Norfolk State, sat out last season. Now in his senior year from Warren, Ohio. He misses on the first attempt, 55% shooter. Trayvon Blewett will sit. He still has not scored. 0 of 5 from the field for Blewett, including 3 misses from three-point territory. Second one for Gaston. Splits a pair. He went against Farr and Reynolds last season in practice. That got him ready for the extra minutes and the starting role this year.
Yeah, those two are the mentors in practice, daily basis, post-perimeter drills, learning some of the nuances of post play. Farr and Reynolds combined for 22 points, 12 rebounds. You combine those two, that's the equivalent of All-American numbers. And again, it goes back to Coach Mack's ability to find a way with this group to be successful.
Gates is on target. Kaiser Gates, 32% three-point shooter. And that's the first three-pointer of the night for the Musketeers. Now 1 out of 5. 6-point lead for Xavier. Down low. Dive. A lot of contact. He was hit by Malcolm Bernard. DeMonte Dodd, 53% shooter, will head to the strike.
That's another way to attack the zone. You can distort it through screening, purposeful use of the bounce, flash from behind the zone, but the high post, that's the hub of the wheel, a sweet spot right in the teeth of the belly of his own defense. Put it there, good things happen.
Good looking free throw on the first attempt. Dodd, the senior, who is 8th on Maryland's all-time career block shots list. That's where he's really made a name for himself on that end of the floor, averaging 2 blocks per game this season. Offensive numbers a little better this year, 6.5 points per game. He misses on the second attempt. And Maryland is down by 5 with 8:40 to go in the first half.
Macura has been quiet here in the first half.
Just 2 points for J.P. Macura, who averages 14.5 points per game. Foul is called.
His first team 7.
It's Brantley picking up his first. And the 17th foul against Maryland. So Macura, an excellent free throw shooter, will get 1 and 1 here. 80%. Last year, Big East 6th man of the year. This year, a starter for Xavier. Short. And the rebound controlled by Herder. Melo Trimble swept away. He didn't see Macura. Out of bounds. First round coverage of the NCAA Division I Women's Basketball Championship begins tomorrow at noon on ESPN2 and watch ESPN. For more information on game times and listings, go to ncaa.com. Long pass to the backcourt and Trimble. Trimble has been held to just 3 points. 3 shot attempts, all from three-point range.
2-3 zone by the Musketeers. It's active, aggressive, high hands, communication, switch off, bump.
And a breakaway. They were trying to force it to Jackson.
And that's where it's effective, because when they're moving quickly and they've got their arms out, the branches, so to speak, in that zone, what looks open closes down. The Venus flytrap or accordion effect.
Gates again from downtown. Kaiser Gates.
Important that the Musketeers went back to Gates. Shows intelligence and purpose as they look for a hot hand, explore a way to be productive.
14-3 off the bench in favor of Xavier. Catch and shoot. Doesn't go for Jared Nickens, who just checked in. Nickens has struggled with a shot all season. Xavier can bring this lead to double figures. 7:20 mark, first half. Blewett is back in for the Musketeers. They've got this lead without Blewett scoring. Stutter step move by Bernard. Lobs it to the wrong team.
Yikes. And there's 2 elbows down the tonsils. You're guarded. Kick the ball. Find an open man.
Trimble's got a screen from Dodd. Maryland had a tough time just getting into a set. Offensively, Trimble pull up pop. Took it.
Good screen against the top of that 2-3 zone. No one there to step up for the Musketeers, and Trimble takes advantage of that daylight.
Melo Trimble from Upper Marlboro, Maryland. So efficient in the way he plays. Double team and a double tip. Blewett is frustrated. Out of bounds off of Xavier. Maryland will have it when we come back. Getting a strong effort from their reserves, including a pair of threes from Kaiser Gates for Xavier. We check out the game summary with Xavier leading at 24-18. Bench points a big key, and points in the paint for Xavier as well. Put on the coaching hat, Steve Lavin, and tell me the approach here.
Well, this was going to be a good zone attack. After the ball gets reversed, it's going to come back to these two, and there's going to be a screen at the top of the floor. So 2 screens here. Dodd goes back up, is going to re-screen. That creates the daylight. No one there to step up. Airspace for Trimble to go to work. More of that for Maryland will go a long way. Distort the zone by flashing from behind. Ball screen the top of the zone, getting the ball to the high post as well.
24-18 Xavier. We approach 6 minutes to go in this first half. Herder bounces for Nickens. Short pop goes down. Jared Nickens, long swing man with a quick release.
And a good substitution, because Nichols has the ability against the zone to make shots, and that's going to stretch the Musketeers, which will open up driving lanes as well.
O'Mara! That's a man's jam. Sean O'Mara going hard to the hole.
What's interesting, Ian, is 3/4 of the season, O'Mara and Gates were not major contributors, even Gooden. This is a group that, because of injuries and suspensions, have stepped up.
Justin Jackson drains it from long range. 26-23 Xavier. Action is picked up a bit with 5:20 to play in the first half. Gooden bounces for Blewett, still scoreless. O'Mara. It's blocked by Dodd, but a foul.
Boy, Mark Turgeon not happy on that. O'Mara becoming a target, a go-to player for the Musketeers. Late in the season has gained confidence, and here again, bluffs the screen, but then slips. Good catch like a tight end across the middle. Jams one home. The big Paul Bunyan postman going to work.
High school teammate of Frank Kaminsky. And he played left tackle in high school.
Well, that explains it.
Not tight end, but played on the line.
Also back in for Xavier, number 55.
Well, on either side of the ball, he would have been effective.
Both of his parents played college basketball at Allegheny College. Kim and John O'Mara. 27-23. O'Mara averages 5.5 points per game. He's already in double figures. His game high is 14. He's got 11 in the first half of the first round of the NCAA tournament.
It's so enjoyable to see the development of players. Nice look Mid-post catch. A nice cut from the weak side. Xavier loses vision off the ball, and as a result, deuce. An easy one.
The finish by Yvonne Bender. Makura, smooth stroke. J.P. Makura. He's improved each year now in his junior season.
Here he's at the top of that zone where he can be very disruptive. And the zone protects some of the athletes that have or lack lateral foot speed on this Musketeer roster.
Trimble from deep. And a foul call that's going to stay right here against Xavier. Gooden was in there for the Musketeers. And he'll get charged with it. That's team foul number 5, 8 against Maryland. Nickens sits for the Terps, and Cowan comes back in. Mark Turgeon makes a change. So the 3 freshmen in, Cowan, Herder, and Jackson, along with Bender and Trimble for Maryland. Herder. Oh, wow. A bomb! Kevin Herder knocks it down from long range.
A neophyte, the freshman, playing with some confidence in the tourney. Sometimes being naive and young is a good thing. You're not aware of what's at stake or what's the significance of the game.
Ignorance is bliss. Gates, side rim, popped up in the air, and a run-out opportunity. Cowan on the move. Cowan, the Euro step, who draws the foul. Gooden was the only defender back in between Cowan and the rim. That is way outside for Herder, the freshman.
Coverage of the NCAA men's basketball tournament is sponsored by GMC, IBM, and by Lowe's.
Coming up, AT&T at the half. Scores, highlights, the latest NCAA tournament news. It's all coming up on AT&T at the half. Xavier up by 2 on Maryland with 3:49 to go in this first half. And Trayvon Blewett, who averages 18.1 points per game, 3rd in the Big East in scoring. He's got a goose egg. Melo Trimble averages 17 per game. He's got 5 for the Terps. Anthony Cowan at the free throw line. And a second one coming with a chance to tie this game at 30 apiece.
You know, it's interesting. Blewett struggled in the first half of both of the Musketeers games in Madison Square Garden. Finished very strong, leading them to victories. So he does have a propensity for performing in the second half of games.
We are tied at 30. Gates had a pair of 3-pointers in this first half. Blewett trying to get on the board, short. Rebound, Makura, denied, sticks with it. Jackson got the block, and Makura relentless.
And again, using the length at the rim, a controlled one-hand tap made it look easy. It's not.
32-30 Xavier. Dealing with this Musketeer zone. Herder. Look at the fake out O'Mara. Herder, left hand. No good. And the rebound ripped down by Blewett. Under 3 minutes to play, first half. Open look, shooting practice for Blewett. Took it for Blewett.
Boy, nice. He bluffed the screen and then faded to the corner. Good delivery, well devised. Musketeers up 5. Timeout.
This is Adam Zucker in New York with a tournament update. On CBS, the defending national champs off to a slow start against Mount St. Mary's. Elijah Long from Long to make it 10-2. They have a 5-point lead on Nova, who missed their first 8 shots. As we go back to Ian, Steve, and Evan.
And Adam, whenever you have a score like that early, you got to tag it with the fact that a 16 seed has never beaten a 1 seed in the history of the NCAA tournament. Winner there will meet the survivor of Wisconsin and Virginia Tech.
I think that matchup if you play it forward, Wisconsin-Villanova advance will be the most difficult second game for any of the 1 seeds. Badgers returned 5 starters from a Sweet 16 run a year ago. Hayes, Koenig, Happ, some very capable players.
Herder missed it from long range. Tyreek Jones clears it for Xavier. And the Musketeers with a 5-point lead, 2.5 to go in this first half. Blewett looking down low. Working around the perimeter quickly here, 15 to shoot. Just tosses it away right to Steve Lavin. Unfortunately for Xavier, Lavin is not in the game.
See that reaction?
Oh, my goodness.
Quick hands.
Very quick reflexes.
Do I have any eligibility left? No.
Do we know for sure? Have we checked that? Yeah,
nope.
Yeah, we just checked.
Maybe GI Bill. You know, it was a Korean War. I'm not sure which one, but there might be. I can appeal NCAA.
We'll look at the records. Kick it out for Cowan. Maryland is 9 of 24 from the field. Jackson drains it from deep. It's a 2-point game with under 2 minutes to go. First half, Jackson with 9 points, multi-dimensional.
Yeah, versatility has been on display.
35-33 Xavier. Blewett gives up his dribble.
And Maryland really jamming Blewett. Not giving him any airspace on the perimeter.
And a foul called as Tyreek Jones was trying to create space on the inside.
Well, the inside-outside ability. Jackson lines one up. Bottoms.
35-33. Jackson with 9. He averages just over 10 per game.
Maryland's made some nice adjustments. You see the attempt to screen the top of that zone, also flash, alternating players into that high post area. Different ways to distort. Excellent high-low look there.
Backdoor, Bender gives it up. Herder in the crowd. The trailer and a foul. Jackson darting towards the rim, and the awareness of Herder to hit him on the bounce.
Yeah, taking turns in terms of flashing from behind the zone and then looking for the high-low and tight quarters, passing in the closet, but well done. Jackson to the foul line.
Had originally committed to play at UNLV as he misses on the first attempt. The CBS Sports app is your app for the tournament. Follow your bracket, watch highlights, get instant team and upset alerts. Download the CBS Sports app now to experience every moment of the action. Played at Findlay Prep as a junior, and then the Hill Academy as a senior. International experience with Team Canada, the under-19 squad. And he has cut the Xavier lead to 1. Under a minute to go now. First half. Blewett lost the ball. Gets it back. Is it an over and back? It is. Maryland had a chance at a break. Blewett forced to retrieve it.
Yeah, let's see if it was last touched by Blewett. It is a backcourt. No longer about the 2 feet in the front versus backcourt. It's who's touched on one side last. Good call by the officials, right on it.
7 turnovers now for Chris Mack's squad. And the officials head over to the monitor. Did the clock move? That might be the question with 54.7 remaining. 35-34 Xavier. So Blewett trying to beat Herder to the spot. Yeah, a second or so came off the clock.
Good pursuit by Herder from behind.
And that forced the action. Blewett may have gotten to it without going into the backcourt if Herder didn't impede his path to the ball.
Yeah, it looked almost as though Blewett slowed down trying to block and use his body to prevent Herder from getting the ball, and as a result, backcourt violation.
Xavier has been in the NCAA tournament 11 of the last 12 years. Consistency in this program. They've had great coaches through the years, including their current head man, Chris Mack, who played at Xavier. Transferred from Evansville.
He's from Cincinnati, so Chris Mack, a great thing. It all started with Pete Gillen, then Skip Prosser, and of course Thad Matta, Sean Miller, right through Chris Mack. Excellent facilities, great fans, tremendous administration that supports basketball.
They become a big-time program. That is deep. Trimble, no. Slapped out of there by Jackson, but Blewett's got it for Xavier. Maryland was looking for its first lead since 8-7. Couldn't get it. Shot clock is turned off. 20 seconds to play. Step in. Mello Trimble streaking to the hoop for two. It's a 6-0 burst. Maryland goes in front, 36-35. Final 6 seconds of the half. Does Gooden know it? He's moving very slowly. No sense of urgency. He throws it up. Back of the iron as time expires. Maryland hits the locker room with a 36-35 lead over Xavier.
Well, a good finish by the Terps, and Trimble, that sense or ability, a knack for understanding when he needs to step up, impose his will on the game at both ends of the floor.
Let's send it over to Evan Washburn. Evan?
Well, Coach, solving that zone seemed to be key down the stretch there. How did you do it?
Well, we just got a little bit more patient. I thought we still took some quick ones. We played inside out. We spread it out a little bit more. I got good players, guys that can make shots. I thought we got better defensively during that stretch, too. I think that was a big part of it.
What part of your defense has kept Trayvon Blewett from wrecking this first half?
Well, he's a great player. I think he's missed some open ones, so hopefully he'll miss them again in the second half for us. I think that'd be big. But we're dialed in. We're really active. We're getting a lot of deflections. We're rebounding well against a great rebounding team. So we'll see. It's a good 20 minutes, but we got to be great in the second half.
Coach, thanks.
Thanks.
All right, Evan, late turnovers, a big problem for Xavier in that first half. Steve Levin and J.P. McCura, they've got a good relationship. Right now, Maryland's got a 36-35 lead on Xavier. AT&T at the half is coming up. Back with more in a moment.
AT&T at the half is presented by AT&T.
We are at halftime in Orlando, Florida, where Maryland holds the lead at the break, 36-35 over the Musketeers of Xavier. Welcome to AT&T at the half, everyone. Greg Gumbel along with Clark, Kenny, and Charles. 9-point lead at 1 point for Xavier in this game. If there's one thing we've learned today is you can't trust early leads in any of these games.
Well, I think the key to the game, obviously, is if you get the lead, you obviously have to play better, but you can't turn the ball over. You know, if you look at it, they had 8 turnovers. That's not going to get it done. But the key to the game so far has been Justin Jackson. But me and Clark were talking off camera. If this game is close, Maryland has the best player, and Mello Trimble. If I'm Xavier, I got to make sure I got a 6-point lead with 2 minutes to go, because Trimble is good enough to win the game by himself.
And he's not had to play by himself in the first half. He's got 7 points. But the young guys, Maryland starts 3 freshmen. And most of the season, at least 2 of them have performed at a high level, and that's when Maryland's been at its best. That's what's happening here tonight. There you see Justin Jackson. He's one of those young pups. He's got 10 to lead the Terps. And then Kevin Herter is one of the other freshmen, and he's got 9. So that's Brantley knocking down the 3, but between Jackson, Herter, and Trimble, they've combined for 26 points in that first half, and that's a good sign for Mark Turgeon's team.
Yeah, a lot of balance, and Mello is the kind of guy who can take a game over.
Well, if you're not going to take it over by scoring, you better take it over by pace. And he's created the pace so his young guys can play within. And so now they feel comfortable, and then you're not a freshman because he's allowing them to play at the pace that they know how to play at. This is what's happened now. You have multiple guys of scoring. Things are coming from multiple places. All of a sudden, Xavier says, oh, now that game plan that we had isn't the one we have to, so there's have to be an adjustment at halftime if they expect to win this game.
All right, guys. Meanwhile, games in action right now. East Region play in Buffalo. It's a 16 against the 1. The 1 seed happens to be defending national champion Villanova.
Yep, and so far off to a shaky start. Mount St. Mary's, the Mount. I saw them Tuesday up close and personal, and this little fella can go. Junior Robinson from 3. So can Elijah Long. These guys are quick, aggressive, fearless, and capable. That's Alexander denying Bridges in transition. Yet, you see, I think, Villanova slow walking the Mount St. Mary mounts down, and eventually I think they'll find some separation here over the next 10 minutes.
3:10 to play in the first half. That game over on CBS, and Mount St. Mary's leads it by 1 at 23-22. Meanwhile, West Region, Salt Lake City, VCU, the number 10 seed, with a 3-point lead on the Gales of St. Mary's, 16-13, coming up on 11.5 to play in the first half there. And in Milwaukee, Midwest Region action. This is on True TV. The Catamounts of Vermont, 18-14 lead on 4th seed Boilermakers of Purdue. 8 games were completed this afternoon. Time for a quick look with 6 in 60.
Here we go. Kennedy for the win. No! Irish advance.
It is win or go home in the NCAA tournament. Shea off balance, banks it in. Virginia is marching on to the second round.
So the Gonzaga Bulldogs advance for the 9th straight year. The Zags have won a first-round NCAA tournament game.
Let's go Mountaineers, baby! Let's go!
My gosh! Bucknell, they fall short of Bob Huggins in West Virginia.
Reggie Upshaw ready to be a March hero again. The Cinderella of a year ago, looking grown up in 2017.
And Fisher Davis fouls McIntosh. It'll be 2 shots for McIntosh. Fisher Davis length of the court. No good! And Northwestern has won!
I think it's a pretty good bet that as long as Northwestern is alive, they will probably be the main story of this tournament. I'd like to know what you guys felt about Gonzaga's performance today and how you feel about their possibility of getting to the Final Four.
Well, I've got them going to the Final Four. Again, I think they're the most balanced team. Offense, defense, size, experience, perimeter play in the country. So I like their chances. They started slow, but that can happen in your first game in the tournament. They'll be fine going forward.
They've done that throughout the year. I've watched them play a lot, and yeah, they've had some slow first half, but they've always come out in the second half, made adjustments. You don't know where it's coming from with the Gonzaga, so that's the difference what it is.
I think the biggest difference, they finally have big athletic guards. They've always had big guys down low, going back to Sabonis and those guys. But this year, I love their guard play. They're going to get to at least to the Elite 8.
All right, guys. AT&T at the half will continue from New York after this.
Coverage of the NCAA men's basketball tournament is sponsored by Infinity, Subway Restaurants, State Farm, and by ExxonMobil.
Getting ready for second half action in Orlando and a 1-point game. Let's check out our all-state first half stats. Xavier goes 3 of 9 from 3-point territory. Maryland 5 of 16. Musketeers out rebounding the Terps 18-13, but Mark Turgeon was happy with that number. The bench has provided a lift for Xavier. Some storylines in that first half. Trayvon Blewett averages 18 points per game. Blewett held in check in the first half. That was his only bucket, and it was a 3-pointer for Xavier. 1 of 8 from the field. Melo Trimble, 7 points in the first half for Maryland. Ian Eagle rejoining you along with the coach, Steve Lavin, Evan Washburn on the sidelines. What are the coaching points for this second half in a tight one, Maryland and Xavier?
Well, I think if you're Chris Mack, you talk to your staff about finding a way, using some ingenuity to deploy Blewett in a manner that allows him to get involved, to see the ball go through the net, whether that's posting him up, involve him in some ball screens, get some elbow catches. And Maryland, it's about continuing to execute as they did late in the first half against Xavier's changing defenses. They had good ball movement, good man movement, and distorted that zone in a variety of ways.
Maryland won a bunch of close games this season, 10 games by 6 points or less. Up top, Herter with the finish. And a great way to open up this second half for the Terps.
Well-devised, well-executed coming out of the locker room, and a breakdown by Xavier there in terms of communication, loosening up on that ball screen or back screen.
38-35, Maryland. Lacura getting creative, unable to finish with the left hand. Let's check in with Evan Washburn.
Well, guys, I spoke with Chris Mack. Let's start with Trayvon Blewett. He said he has to be more aggressive, but it's that fine line. He can't play rushed. He was really mostly concerned and only concerned with the turnovers. He felt like they were careless. The 8 of them caused 12 points for Maryland. He said we have to clean that up.
They averaged 12.8 per game this season. Maryland trying to build on the lead. Mellow Trimble, good-looking jump shot from Trimble. And Maryland has its largest lead, 5.
I'll go back to that point about great players take you to great heights. And those great players have an instinct to when to take over a game. And that's what we've seen Trimble do here late.
Tyreek Jones got a good look at a short one, but could not get it to drop. '27th appearance in the NCAA tournament for this Maryland program. Won the title in 2002. Herder trying to thread the needle to Dodd. It was deflected out of bounds off of Xavier. A 10-0 run, bridging the first and second half. Get it in for Cowan. Guarded out front by Gooden. 9 to shoot. Herder makes his move. Herder slapped away by Macura. Did it come off of Herder? That's what Macura thought. And the officials say last touch, Xavier. 5 to shoot.
Got to be a quick hitter here.
Maryland went 4-6 in the final 10 games before the NCAA tournament. That's why there was some concern. Herder short on the 3-ball. Bernard gets it across. Macura, quick jack, no. Rebound, Dodd couldn't grab it. Fight for it. Out of bounds. Off of Xavier, Tyreek Jones.
I think this was going to be off Maryland. Valiant effort, but tough to see. So much respect for officials. They got to call it bang, bang. We get to review it in slow-mo.
This Xavier team suffered through a 6-game losing streak from February 11th to March 1st. Recovered to make the NCAA tournament. Had a big win over Butler in the Big East tournament. Cross-court feed. Herder. The pass inside to Jackson. Loses the ball. Out of bounds. And Xavier takes over.
Yeah, those are shots Herder will learn as he goes through his career, becomes a sophomore. He's better off either jump stopping and shooting. You give it to a teammate like Jackson unexpectedly. He's not ready for it. Put it up there, and he's in good position. Jackson is to tip it in if it does miss.
Steve, you go back to the first half. Xavier has no points over the final 5.5 minutes of game action.
Yep. They have droughts. We see Blewett try and work without the ball.
Good looking shot from Blewett.
Good look, and that's that ingenuity, resourcefulness. There's a stack up high that Xavier employed and allows him to use his teammate as a screener to free himself up for that shot, and a good delivery as well.
Rainbow 3 for Blewett. Trimble can't answer. And it's rebounded by Bernard. Up the floor in a hurry. Blewett swings it to the open man. Good in attack mode. Loses the ball. Jackson comes the other way. The crossover. Herder. Foul called. Herder tried to jam it. And he earns a trip to the free throw line.
How about the ball handling skills by Jackson in the open court? A nice little crossover, throws the ball out in front. The look away comes back to Herder. Looked like it was a Spalding sandwich, all clean there. Or is it a Wilson sandwich? Not sure what ball we're using tonight. Wilson.
Free throws here for Kevin Herder. Who delivered the Buick expectation-shattering performance of the day? Tune in to Inside March Madness, presented by Buick, and find out.
Good setup by Herder. Wide base, takes his time, an efficient stroke as well.
His dad, Tom, played at Siena when they pulled off an NCAA tournament upset over Stanford back in 1989. Could be a nice family continuation for Herder in this year's tournament as Blewett is starting to find his range.
And it's so interesting. He did the same thing in the Big East tournament in Madison Square Garden. Great second halves, poor first halves.
Trimble, the shake and bake, using the window.
We're seeing two of the best young coaches this evening in terms of the chess match and putting their positions. Good steal.
It's Cowan, picks the pocket, and lays it in. Quentin Gooden loses the ball. Freshman against freshman. And Yvonne Bender's got rhythm. 46-40 Maryland.
Well, that's an example of where Xavier is hurt, and by not having that pure traditional quarterback or point guard on the floor, whether it's breaking pressure or initiating offense.
Foul called out front. Maryland's got its largest lead, 15:43 to play. Second half in Orlando. Mark Turgeon is pumped up. Well, let's check out the tournament subway. Summary. Higher seeds are 7-1 through 8 games. They only upset the 12 seed Middle Tennessee over Minnesota. Gonzaga advances to the round of 32 for the 9th straight year, and Northwestern wins its NCAA tournament debut, and they did it in shocking fashion, with Vanderbilt coming up short. An intentional foul late. Northwestern took advantage of it and moves on to the second round, Steve.
What a story for the Wildcats. I always felt the first game of the NCAA tournament was the most difficult to coach because of the nerves, the natural vital signs being north, and just the unfamiliar conditions. That's where experience, both coaches and players, is so important.
Bernard a three. Malcolm Bernard. Jack of all trades for this Xavier squad has cut the Maryland lead to 3.
I have such admiration for this particular Musketeer squad. And it's not just because of my allegiance or bias to the Big East, having coached there for 5 years at St. John's. It's because this group, through adversity, has continued to reinvent itself. We're seeing players that earlier in the year didn't have a role on this team, and here they are in the NCAA competing against a good Maryland team.
Herder couldn't finish it for Maryland. Terps up by 3. Just over 5 minutes gone by. Second half. O'Mara gets a touch. Big body against big body. O'Mara. Foul called on DeMonte Dodd. And that's the third on the Terps big man.
Well, that's an example. Xavier showing O'Mara that they have confidence in him. They're throwing him the ball as though he's a go-to low-post player. And as a result, he's playing with more confidence.
He has not missed a shot. 4 of 4 from the field, now 4 of 4 at the free throw line. From executive producer Rashida Jones comes TNT's wickedly dark and wildly entertaining new series, Claws. Catch the series premiere this summer on TNT.
And I'd even argue this is Chris Mack's greatest coaching run these past 6 weeks. When you talk about the adversity off the court, the injuries they've dealt with, really his finest hour as a coach on display over the past 6 weeks.
They were ranked in the top 15 early in the season, but as you just mentioned, the injury. That's a miss by Bender.
Well, good look by Maryland there, just didn't pay it off. Bender's got to make those bunnies, but good attack against the zone. High-low.
Gooden drives. That hits. Quentin Gooden helping to trigger a 7-0 run for Xavier, and they regain the lead.
Well, another bloodied but unbowed basketball team that we're watching here tonight. They've been beat up, been through adversity, still competing.
Jackson, left hand. Justin Jackson showing off the tool set.
I like his poise, demeanor, and composure as well.
12 points for Jackson. 48-47, Maryland. Run it through O'Mara. Kick it. Makura 3. Bodies flying. And a foul called against Xavier.
Maryland going to use some switching on the perimeter against the ball screen action, trying to level off the Musketeers' ability to turn the corner.
It's the first foul on Blewett. Second team foul against the Musketeers. 1-point lead for Maryland. Cowan and Trimble in the backcourt. Cowan bounces. They lost Bender on the baseline. Yvonne Bender with a deuce.
Boy, some good screening. Again, the high-low looks, alternating players flashing into that high post area.
Penetration, Gooden, kick it out. Open look for Blewett. He nails it. It's a triple. Trayvon Blewett from deep.
Oh, Blewett sent it up to the clouds. Put some air under that one, the rainbow jumper.
He's got 8 in the half. We're tied at 50. Cowan playing catch with Trimble. His jumper, no good. Rebound ripped down by Blewett. Gooden gets Xavier into its offense.
I wonder if they feed Blewett something at halftime. Is it like Little League or soccer? He gets the fresh sliced oranges? Or
oh, those are good.
Boy, critical.
We're in Florida. That would make sense. O'Mara, the back in. O'Mara, body contact. And it will count either way because Herder got it after it hit the backboard on the way down.
Well, O'Mara suddenly a force on the low post in the late stages of the season. The confidence to take tough shots. That one was going in regardless off the glass from this view, but the goaltend call in effect.
It is a new career high for Sean O'Mara. 5 of 5 from the field, 5 of 5 at the free throw line. He exits the game with Xavier up by 2.
Making the most of his opportunity. I applaud him.
12 minutes to play in regulation. 2-point lead for Xavier. Nickens back in for Maryland. Trimble drives in. Couldn't finish.
Well, those are good looks. Mark Turgeon putting his team in position to get great shots on rim, just not finishing.
Gooden motors out of bounds. Turnover Xavier. They step aside with 11:42 to play. A tight one in Orlando.
Let's start with Lowe's for these memorable moments. Winning one championship is hard. 2 in a row puts you in rare company. In 2007, Florida had 4 players score double figures to beat Ohio State, giving Billy Donovan his 2nd straight title. Lowe's, official corporate partner of the NCAA.
This is Adam Zucker in New York with a tournament update. Over on True TV, final seconds of the first half. For Purdue, it's P.J. Thompson with the pull-up. They had trailed Vermont by 8. They take the lead into the break as we go back to Ian, Steve, and Evan.
And Adam, the winner there, will take a winner of Iowa State and Nevada still to come on True TV. 11:42 to play in this second half in Orlando, 52-50. Xavier, the 11 seed in the West region, leading number 6 seed Maryland. Terps with the basketball. L.G. Gill, transfer from Duquesne, now in there for Maryland.
Maryland sending cutters through that high post area, working the high-low angle as well.
Jalen Brantley in the backcourt with Trimble.
Now this is the 1-3-1 look. Sometimes the 2-3 morphs into a 1-3-1 look.
Trimble to spin, loses the ball, out of bounds. Follow Bleacher Report on Instagram and get the coolest sports content before anybody else. Join millions of others and follow Bleacher Report on Instagram right now. Xavier up by 2. We'll hit the 11-minute mark of this second half.
See if they go back to Blewett. Try and play through the hot hand.
We've had 6 lead changes. Largest cushion has been 9 for Xavier. Blewett, a 3. He's heating up.
Yeah, good execution again. Blewett with confidence, probably psychological now because he's been Superman in the second half of so many games. There's an expectation that he's going to take over in the late stages.
It's a 15-4 run for the Musketeers. They lead by 5.
Ian, take a look at this. 3-man basketball. We're going to watch as Gaston passes to Gooden, and then Gaston's going to go set a down screen for Blewett, who's in the corner. And that frees him up with just enough daylight to be able to get the shot off. Blew it 4 of 4 in the second half because of well-devised and well-executed alignments to get him involved. He's feeling it.
He was 1 of 8 in the first half, held to 3 points. Yet Xavier was down by only a point at the break to Maryland. Now the Musketeers are up by 5. Out of the timeout, Jackson gives it up to Trimble. Melo Trimble is 5 of 12 from the field, 1 of 7 from three-point territory. High screen from Bender, releases from it, couldn't get it to him. Shot clock is winding down. Jackson the drive, the flip, off the mark. Ball knocked around, out of bounds. Should have been a shot clock violation either way.
Good defense there by Xavier. Contested shot by Maryland. But they've had their fair share of open looks, just haven't been able to convert. It's not an issue with Maryland's alignments. It's more being able to finish. That was a poor shot in terms of selection.
Half court set here for Xavier. Catch and shoot. Blew it again. Trayvon Blewett is smoking hot. 58-50. The extended run is 18-4 for Xavier.
And now Xavier in that man-to-man again, keeping the Terps off balance by giving different looks.
Herder lost it. Trimble. He got hit down low by Malcolm Bernard. Third foul on Bernard.
When you've got a hot hand, prudent basketball is to go back, feel it, heat check. Tickling Twine and Blewett. A second half performer, the closer of late for the Musketeers, playing the best basketball of his career, Ryan.
Let's get a report from Evan Washburn. Evan?
Well, guys, 2 things from Mark Turgeon's huddle. Defensively, initially the current concern was O'Mara in their post defense. Now things have obviously shifted to shading out towards Blewett. And secondarily, Coach, to your point, he wants guys not to settle offensively. Only 2 free throw attempts in this second half. They had 13 in the first.
Maryland in desperate need of a bucket. Right through the hands of Trimble. Turnover Terps.
A big shift in momentum, and Xavier has seized the moment. Plenty of time on Maryland enough to settle down some. Unforced turnover there, just passing and catching.
In the second half, Trayvon Blewett, 14 points. The rest of the Xavier squad has 9. Largest lead of the night for the Musketeers has been 9. Makura sets it up. Jump shot for Gates. He's got it. Locked and loaded. Xavier has its largest cushion.
And so many compelling stories here tonight for the Musketeers. O'Mara, Gates, obviously Blewett again in the second half. That's expected, but the other contributors not as expected coming into this game.
The miss by Bender. Herder could not get the follow, and a foul called against the Terps.
It's a group that just continues to flex their muscles. Makura along the baseline, navigating and delivering the dime to Gates for the catch and shoot opportunity. Coach Mack has to be pleased. Again, plenty of time for Maryland to counterpunch here. They're going to go to the 1-2-2 full court pressure, trying to take the Musketeers out of rhythm.
It's a 14-0 run for Xavier. Back in 2004, Xavier played in Orlando. They beat Louisville and Mississippi State to advance to the Sweet 16. Kick it out for Gooden. The 3, no. Gaston got his hands on it. Out of bounds as Blewett attempted to save it and has some personal time with the Xavier band. Watch live games on your computer, phone, or tablet, or streaming device with NCAA March Madness Live. Watch now at ncaa.com/March Madness or download the app today.
Well, Blewett goes to the bench to catch a blow before the 8-minute timeout. He'll be able to get these 22 seconds in that timeout where he can recharge. Maryland needs something good to happen to them at this point. They need a successful possession to start to feel good about themselves.
Coming up on 5 minutes without a point for Maryland. Between the legs, Jackson sticks the J.
Well, that's just what the doctor orders. Jackson fluid off the bounce and can play inside and out. Good call by Mark Turgeon.
So that was a 5-minute and 2-second stretch without scoring for the Terps. Gates, hot hand? No. Dodd, the box out of Gaston. 61-52.
You want to explore in transition. If you don't have the numbers, run a set. Give yourself a chance to get a good look at the bucket, get fouled, or play inside out. Don't settle.
Herter comes to the ball with 14 to shoot. Jackson clears it with 10. Timer is down to 7. Herter whips it to the other side. Cowan makes his move. A 3 on the way. Jackson, no. Rebounded by Gooden. Empty trip for Maryland. We approach 7 minutes to play, and Chris Mack will use a timeout.
He'll likely put Blewett back in the game here, Ryan.
61-52. Xavier in front. 61-52. Xavier, the 11th seed in the West, leading Maryland, the 6th seed. Second half three-point shooting. The Terps have come up empty. 0 of 4. Xavier has extended that rebounding margin, and something that Xavier does about as well as anybody in the country. Chris Mack, just look at the consistency and the heavy hitters on this list. Last 12 seasons, NCAA tournament appearances.
Well, and a big advantage when you go on a consistent basis, because there are no voyage maidens except for maiden voyages.
Either way.
But you understood. You picked right up on it. You're dyslexic like I am. Transposing left and right. But good slip by Blewett and a great delivery by Gooden. Pretty two-man basketball again, playing in pairs, almost like a dance. Astaire and Rogers. How's that?
Good, very.
Can't go wrong with those two. Footwork.
Under 7 minutes to play, and a foul called. 11-point lead for Xavier.
But the advantage is, other than the incoming freshmen in the program, everyone else has been to the tournament. Coaching staff and all returning players. And so it's only the first-year players that have to come up to speed, but they've got enough around them to help them with that transition into tournament play.
And they're not getting one-and-dones. These are guys that grow within the program.
Good point.
Team fouls 4 against Xavier. That's the 4th personal on Bernard. The lead is 11 for the Musketeers. Having trouble with the zone right now. Cowan, watched by Mercura. That's deep. Herter, he's got it. Kevin Herter, 16 in his NCAA tournament debut.
You get the feeling that the Terps have another run in them to close the gap here. Trimble will have to step up down the stretch, as he has so many times in his career.
O'Mara sets the screen for Blewett. They double team him. Mercura 3, grazes the rim. O'Mara tracks it down. Mercura again. That's off the mark, and Trimble is fouled on the rebound. Blewett got his body in there, and it's his 2nd personal.
Wow. Herter lines one up, no hesitation. A freshman with some courage. Wants the ball in tough situations. Impressive.
63-55 Xavier. These were the last 2 teams announced on Selection Sunday. Trimble drives, dishes, Dodd the layup, no, but a foul. DeMonte Dodd will shoot a pair.
And on defense, Trimble gets a rebound here after the dribble weave and a little ball screen out of it. The nice drive and the delivery to Dodd, just not able to finish.
It's the 3rd foul on Blewett. And DeMonte Dodd is 1 out of 2 at the free throw line. His only point of the night. First one's good. From Centerville, Maryland. Team that went to the Sweet 16 last year, fell to Kansas in Louisville. Kansas eventually lost to the champion of 2016, Villanova.
That second free throw hurts for a couple of reasons. One is it's a point that should be on the board to cut into the deficit, but also Maryland can't set their full court pressure against a team in Xavier that doesn't have a pure point guard.
7-point lead for Xavier. We approach 5 minutes to play in the second half. Blewett frees himself. It's a three. And a foul called on the rebound action against Maryland. And that's number 3 on Herder. 4th team foul against the Terps. Herder made contact with Makura. Malcolm Bernard back in. He's playing with 4 fouls. Kaiser Gates takes a seat for Xavier. Lob it in for Bernard.
Xavier looks to score on their out-of-bounds plays.
Makura got hit on a 3-ball. He gets helped up by his head coach, Chris Mack. 2nd foul on Trimble. He extended out and tried to close in on Makura.
Well, some teams just try and get the ball in bounds and then set up an offense. Xavier on their baseline out-of-bounds plays is aggressive on their catches, and as a result, more productive than teams just try and get the ball in bounds.
And how frustrating was that for you as a coach when fouls were called on 3-point shots?
Well, frustrating because that's a cardinal rule in basketball. It's basically body balance. You know, you want high hands, you want to contest, take away airspace, and you don't want to leave the feet be off balance where you can foul a jump shooter.
Makura missing on the first 2 attempts, steps away from the line briefly. 80% on the season. He is 0 of 3 tonight. Misses that one. No points on the trip for Xavier. That turns out to be a great foul by Trimble.
Well executed by Mark Turgeon. Surprise and change.
A steal. Makura lays it in. Defense from Xavier turns into offense. And the lead is 9 for the Musketeers.
Well, that's a big sequence right there because Maryland caught a break with the hat trick 0 for 3 from the line by Makura. And then they turn it over and it leads to a run out.
Cowan feeds to Jackson. Intercepted, trying to hit Herder on a cut to the rim.
Yeah, didn't turn and face. Jackson be better facing the basket where he might have a shot. If the pass is open, you look for it. If not, keep it moving.
Herder's got some blood that they have to deal with. The officials stop play. And Herder will be taken care of. It's on the right hand of the freshman Kevin Herder. Now they're going to have to substitute. That may take some further work. Herder is trying to get himself back into the game here. Jalen Brantley checks in. And Herder will wait for the next dead ball. 65-56 Xavier. 4:20 to play. Winner goes to the second round. Back in. O'Mara. Miss his first.
Getting to the point now where Maryland needs some productive possessions.
Body bump. Tipping goes. Bender following the miss by Trimble.
Yeah, and Bender's opportunity came as a result of Trimble's drive and drawing the Musketeers to help. Bender slides in for the putback.
The door still very much open. It's a 7-point game. Trimble takes the hit and a foul on Blewett. Number 4 on Trayvon Blewett. Big call at the 3:43 mark. Xavier's got the lead. Makura making the play on both ends of the floor. 65-58 in Orlando. For those who follow this Xavier program, Bill Murray, it's well known how big a fan he is. His son Luke is an assistant coach on Chris Mack's staff. Bill travels all over the country as part of Musketeer Faithful.
And Luke Murray, one of the bright young stars in the coaching profession, learning the trade, the craft under Chris Mack here at Xavier. Bright future. And Bill Murray picks up the tab, too. He's very generous on those road trips as part of the posse for the Musketeers.
Trimble a three. Short. Rebound. Malcolm Bernard for Xavier. Have you benefited from the Bill Murray expense account?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, the year I was out with cancer, Bill Murray actually was one of the first to call.
That's wonderful.
And it says a lot about him and his family.
Jump shot for Gates. Rims out. Back tap Gates. He's got it for Xavier. They trap him. Gates goes down. It's a travel with 3:07 to play. Maryland gets the ball back, down by 7.
Gates trying to protect the ball late in the game, just not able to keep his feet. Good harassment by the Terps defensively.
3 minutes left. 65-58. Xavier. Trimble. Don't have the big man O'Mara, who now backs off. Jackson on the box. Trimble, ball fake. Contact with Gooden. Trimble hooks around him, and is fouled.
That's what Trimble will have to do down the stretch. Probe and investigate, and look to be aggressive on his catches. Here, behind the back, just able to get an angle. Gooden with the foul, not happy, but the right one.
Steve, it's Melo Trimble's first free throw attempt of the night, and it rims out. What's at stake here? A spot in the second round. The final matchup of the night here in Orlando, Florida State against Florida Gulf Coast. Still to come on TNT. Trimble, 1 out of 2. It's a 6-point game with 2:47 left.
Well, this sets their defense. They can look to trap opportunistically. The kick by Jackson.
Check in with Evan Washburn. Evan?
Well, guys, I just wanted to follow up with something from that last MAC huddle, because we've seen Xavier shift to man. He wanted Gooden on Trimble because he sensed at this time of the game it's going to be ball-dominant Melo Trimble, and they really want to shade out to him. Something to watch.
All right, Evan. Sweet 16 6 times for the Xavier program since 2004. Double team on Bernard. He gets rid of it. Blew it. Gets it a hand into the forecourt. And a timeout taken by Xavier. Bernard was in trouble out near the midcourt stripe. And he's limping to the Xavier bench. 65-59 Musketeers. There was a reaction here in the arena when Xavier didn't get it across. What the fans didn't realize is that the shot clock resets on a kickball. So the kickball reset, not the shot clock, but the 10-second portion getting it across the line. Xavier did get it across in the right amount of time. 65-59 Musketeers.
See if Maryland continues to trap. Going to fall back now into their man-to-man.
Shot clock was down to 5. Blew it, and a bailout. They had nothing going in that offensive set. And Herter gets charged with a foul way out front. They're going to get it on Trimble. It is Trimble. Number 3 on Trimble. It's the 6th team foul for Maryland. So Xavier has it on the side. No free throws, but shot clock at 30. It was down to 5. On the trigger, Brantley grabbed Gooden. 2 free throws for Quentin Gooden.
Well, these two getting the horns locked up like the Animal Planet here. It's the old crafty veteran move. John Stockton was one of the best at that in the history of basketball. Wrap your arms up into opponent to get yourself to the foul line. Little theatrics as well.
Xavier, 8 of 14 at the free throw line. This is a freshman who shoots 55%. Quentin Gooden. It's good. 66-59 Musketeers.
Important that Maryland gets attacks on the rim where they could not only get themselves the foul line, shoot high percentage shots, but draw fouls, stop the clock. be able to convert and then set your defense.
Gooden hits them both. Could it be Groundhog Day for Xavier, advancing in the NCAA tournament? 67-59.
I caught that.
Yeah, thanks, Steve.
It's not broken flowers.
Very good.
Or lost in translation on me.
Travel called on Trimble, and things are fracturing right now for Maryland.
Well, somewhat discombobulated here. I think the different looks have unnerved Maryland, and give Chris Mack credit, changing the looks. Man-to-man, the 2-3 that morphs into a 1-3-1. Their on-ball coverage has changed throughout the game as well.
Xavier holds on to it. Bernard nearly gave it away with 2:08 to play. Change here. Kaiser Gates back in. He replaces Bernard.
This is where Xavier plays point guard by committee. They're trying to transport the ball through the air more than the bounce because they don't have the traditional point guard.
Blew it to Makura. Pressure defense. Loop it ahead. Gates to the rim. Kaiser Gates. The major throwdown. It's a 10-point lead for Xavier. We are under 2 minutes to play.
Well devised. Attack pressure by going baseline to baseline for a score of your own.
Herder a three. Yes! Kevin Herder. Way downtown. He's got unlimited range. And it's a 7-point game with 1:47 left. A timeout taken. Each team with a timeout remaining. We've got 1:47 on the clock. Xavier with possession in front, 69-62. The possession arrow also favors the Musketeers. 17 fouls against Maryland. Still a little early, though, to play the foul game, no?
Well, you go for the steal initially off the inbound or get a 5-second call, then look to trap. And be interesting to see what Mark Turgeon, if he has confidence, there's the foul.
And that was based on an aggressive play by Bender looking for the steal, not looking to foul Makura.
Yeah, that's what I like to do, but again, Mark Turgeon knows his personnel because he's with them on a daily basis in practice and games. But to me, late game, be aggressive, because worst case scenario is we lengthen the game and you put someone at the foul line and hope they miss from there. That's what Jimmy V did with that great Wolfpack team that went on to win the national title.
Makura has taken an offer at the stripe until that one. Xavier up by 8. Two out of 2 for Makura. 71-62.
Threes only if it comes in a natural way off of creating.
Trimble, back of the iron, rebounded by Makura. Under a minute and a half to play now.
Now you have to foul.
And Herder does. Quentin Gooden will go to the free throw line. Unless something happened there. Looked like Herder fouled Gooden with 1:24 left. Shot clock has been reset. They're considering it a turnover by Gooden. Herder a three. Rebounded by Trimble. Maryland still with life, but they can't find the rim. Free throws for Melo Trimble.
There was the offensive foul on Herder.
This was Herder slapping at the ball.
Well, traveled.
A travel was called on Gooden. Trimble at the stripe. Short. Melo Trimble is 1 of 3 at the free throw line. As a team, Maryland is 13 of 18. He goes 1 out of 2.
The struggles of late have been at the offensive end of the floor. Coach Turgeon not happy with his defense either. But in this stretch of 4 out of 6 losses, Maryland at 65 points per game, and they're right on track to be about that number again.
Blewett is fouled in the backcourt. And Trayvon Blewett is a 75% shooter. Chris Mack just had something to say to his young point guard, Quentin Gooden, for that travel in the backcourt. Blewett, slow start, struggled in the first half, picked it up in the second half. That's when Xavier jumped out in front. 17 points in the second half for Trayvon Blewett. He lost 20 pounds in the offseason, preparing for his junior year out of Indianapolis. Hits on a pair. It's a 10-point lead for Xavier. Trimble using the screen. Brantley lines it up. Misses it for three-point territory. Makura couldn't grab it. O'Mara does, and a foul given with 1:03. Maryland is running out of time. And Xavier can seal the deal at the free throw line.
We talked about Xavier and their defenses morphing from 2-3 to 1-3-1 to man-to-man, different looks, but really their entire team has morphed. Coming into the year, they expected to have both Miles Davis at some point, and of course, never expected to lose Sumner. So we see O'Mara back rim one. But to retool in midseason, reinvent yourself, again, I go back to Chris Mack and his staff. While they lost 7 out of 10 games, here they are close to advancing if they can hold on and salt this victory away in the NCAA tournament.
It's an 11 seed on the brink of advancing in the West region. 74-63, under a minute left. Using a lot of clock. Herter lets it fly. 3-ball, no good. O'Mara with the board, protects it. And more free throws for the Musketeers with 50.8 on the clock. March sadness for Maryland. O'Mara has had the best offensive game of his career. $17 points for Sean O'Mara.
Well, and keep in mind, last week, Xavier had a win over Butler in the Big East Conference tournament. The top 4 seed.
That may have been what put them over the top in the eyes of the committee, Steve.
Yeah, because the only other wins of late were against DePaul. They benefited by picking up some wins against last place Blue Demons, which doesn't really build your confidence. But a win over Butler here tonight against Maryland, impressive.
Herter feeds it inside, and the finish for Bender. 42.1 on the clock, 76-65. Xavier. Get it in for Gates. They pressure in the backcourt. Blewett tosses it ahead. Makura in no rush, and Maryland is not fouling. Xavier fans on their feet. They're 20 seconds away from moving on to the second round. They'll take the shot clock violation with 11 seconds left. Chris Mack, what a tremendous job he's done year in and year out with this program. And they are a big-time program. The consistency.
Well, I think he managed the adversity off the court as well as the on-the-court challenges as well as any coach possibly could.
Xavier, once again, earns its stripes. 76-65. The Musketeers are moving on to the second round. Mini-Mac in celebration mode. Maryland is out. Win or go home. And it's Xavier that gets the W. The number 11 seed. It doesn't feel like an upset, though, Steve. I know 11-6, the natural thing to say, oh, it's an upset. It doesn't feel that way.
Well, you could tell yesterday Mark Turgeon had some concerns about this matchup against the Musketeers, and it played out.
Final score, Xavier 76, Maryland 65. The Musketeers advance in Orlando. Tournament games continue right now on CBS, TBS, and True TV. Coming up on TNT, Florida Gulf Coast against Florida State. We'll send it to our studio, Capital One Tournament Central. Coming up for Steve Lavin, Evan Washburn, Ian Eagle. So long from Orlando.